Why do Japanese people regularly live past 100, while the average American struggles to reach 75? And more importantly, what are the 4 specific lifestyle differences that create this 25-year gap in lifespan? This isn't about genetics or luck. In fact, multiple international studies, including those from the World Health Organization and Stanford, have shown that genes account for less than 25% of human longevity. The rest? It's what we do every day, how we eat, move, connect, and recover. In Japan, especially in Okinawa, you'll find some of the longest living people in the world. These individuals stay mentally sharp, physically mobile, and emotionally grounded well into their 90s and beyond. But here's where it gets interesting. The 4th lifestyle habit that sets them apart is something you can change today in your kitchen. And it directly contradicts much of the nutrition advice most Americans have been told for decades. Last year, I met 98-year-old Akiko, a retired seamstress from Okinawa. She still wakes at sunrise, tends her garden, and walks 2 miles daily, unaided. When I asked her secret, she smiled gently and said, "Americans focus on the wrong things entirely." What she told me next challenged everything I thought I knew about healthy aging, and it led me down a path of examining 4 daily habits that science now confirms support longer, healthier lives. So in this video, we'll break down each of those habits, backed by research and real-world results, so that you can begin applying them right away, no matter your age or background. Because living to 100 isn't about perfection. It's about doing the right things consistently and knowing which ones truly matter. Habit number 1. Eat until you're 80% full, hara hachibu. In Okinawa, Japan, a region known for having one of the highest concentrations of centenarians in the world, elders often recite a simple phrase before meals, hara hachibu. It translates to eat until you are 80% full. This is not just a saying. It's a lifelong practice of mindful eating that has measurable health benefits and deep cultural roots. Unlike the typical American approach, where meals often end with a sensation of being stuffed, Okinawans stop eating when they feel just satisfied, not full, and certainly not overfull. This practice plays a key role in their long-term health and longevity. From a biological perspective, overeating accelerates aging. After age 30, the body's metabolic efficiency declines, and excess caloric intake can trigger chronic inflammation, increase insulin resistance, and damage mitochondria, the energy powerhouses of our cells. When people consistently eat more than they need, even by just 10 to 20%, they create an internal environment that promotes disease and speeds up cellular aging. Caloric moderation, on the other hand, activates genes related to repair and longevity. A landmark study in Nature Communications, 2018, found that reducing caloric intake by just 15% over 2 years led to lower blood pressure, reduced oxidative stress, and improved insulin sensitivity in middle-aged adults. What's especially important is that Okinawans don't practice caloric restriction through dieting. They do it by slowing down. They chew thoroughly. They eat at a table, not in the car. Meals are served in smaller plates, often with chopsticks, and focused on whole foods. This slower pace gives the body time to register satiety, typically about 15 to 20 minutes after eating begins. The nutritional composition of an Okinawan meal also supports this practice. Meals are high in fiber and water volume, from foods like sweet potatoes, tofu, seaweed, and bitter melon, making them filling without being high in calories. Animal proteins are eaten sparingly. Processed foods and added sugars are minimal. By contrast, the modern Western diet encourages rapid eating, oversized portions, and ultra-processed ingredients that override the body's hunger and fullness signals. The result is widespread obesity, type 2 diabetes, and early-onset chronic disease, conditions rarely seen in traditional Okinawan elders. Another benefit? Lower BMI without dieting. Studies show Okinawans maintain a body mass index between 18 to 22 throughout life, a range associated with lower risk of heart disease, cancer, and neurodegenerative disorders. Americans, by comparison, average a BMI of 29, just 1 point shy of the clinical definition of obesity. According to Dr. Makoto Suzuki, co-author of the Okinawa program, Hara Hachibu is a way of life that connects mindfulness, gratitude, and biology. It's not about deprivation. It's about respecting your body's limits and stopping when you've had enough, even if the food tastes great. Here's how you can start. Use smaller plates at home. Eat more slowly and without screens. Pause halfway through a meal and check how you feel. Say a phrase like, "I feel satisfied," before clearing your plate. In a culture where fullness is equated with satisfaction, Okinawans find strength in restraint. And that restraint may be one of the most powerful and accessible longevity tools you can adopt today. Habit number 2, choose plant-based proteins over animal fats. One of the most striking dietary differences between long-lived Japanese populations and typical American diets lies in the type of protein consumed. In Japan, especially in Okinawa, protein intake is predominantly plant-based, with minimal reliance on animal fats. This choice plays a major role in reducing disease risk and extending health span. In the West, high-protein diets often focus on red meat, processed meats, and full-fat dairy. While these foods are dense in protein, they're also rich in saturated fats, cholesterol, and inflammatory compounds. Studies, including the Harvard Nurses' Health Study and the Health Professionals Follow-Up Study, have linked high intake of red and processed meats to increased risk of heart disease, colorectal cancer, and type 2 diabetes. In contrast, Okinawan elders obtain much of their protein from tofu, miso, natto, fermented soybeans, seaweed, sweet potatoes, and legumes. These foods provide all the essential amino acids the body needs, without the oxidative stress, saturated fats, or high caloric burden of animal-based proteins. But it's not just about avoiding harm. It's about what plant proteins actively provide. Soy foods, in particular, are rich in isoflavones, natural plant estrogens that have been shown to support hormonal balance, especially in postmenopausal women. A 2020 meta-analysis published in Clinical Nutrition confirmed that higher soy intake is associated with reduced risk of breast cancer recurrence and improved cardiovascular outcomes. Another key advantage of plant-based protein sources is their fiber content. Animal proteins contain no fiber, while beans, tofu, lentils, and seaweed deliver a double benefit: protein for repair and soluble fiber for gut health and cholesterol regulation. A healthy gut microbiome, increasingly recognized as a cornerstone of healthy aging, thrives on these fiber-rich foods. Let's take tofu as an example. Just 3.5 ounces of tofu delivers 10 grams of high-quality protein, all 9 essential amino acids, calcium, and iron, but only 120 calories and less than 1.5 grams of saturated fat. Contrast that with the same amount of beef, which contains similar protein but double the calories, 10 times the saturated fat, and 0 fiber. Moreover, plant proteins reduce inflammation, a key driver of chronic disease and biological aging. In a randomized controlled trial published in JAMA Internal Medicine, participants who swapped red meat for plant-based proteins experienced lower levels of C-reactive protein, CRP, a marker of systemic inflammation. From a traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, standpoint, plant proteins, especially soy, are considered gentler on the body's qi, energy, and easier to digest, especially as people age. Animal fats, particularly from red meat, are viewed as more taxing to the liver and harder to metabolize, especially for older adults or those with sluggish digestion. How to apply this habit? Swap red meat meals with tofu stir-fry, lentil soup, or miso broth. Use tempeh or natto in grain bowls or salads. Add seaweed and edamame to your weekly meal rotation. The goal isn't to become vegetarian. It's to shift the balance, choosing plant proteins more often so your body can thrive without the aging burden of excessive animal fat. Habit number 3, prioritize movement in daily life. When researchers studied the lifestyle habits of long-lived Japanese elders, particularly those in Okinawa, one thing stood out: they don't exercise, but they move constantly. Unlike Americans, who often separate movement into isolated blocks of gym time, if at all, Older Japanese adults integrate motion into nearly every aspect of daily living. The average American adult spends over 9 hours a day sitting, according to the CDC, and many assume that a 30-minute workout compensates for the rest of the day spent inactive. But studies now show that prolonged sitting, regardless of formal exercise, significantly raises the risk of cardiovascular disease, obesity, insulin resistance, and early death. Meanwhile, in Okinawa, centenarians walk to local markets, tend gardens, clean their homes, and engage in active hobbies like Tai Chi or fishing. Movement is woven into their routines, not something outsourced to machines or avoided due to convenience. A landmark study from the Blue Zones Project, which examines the world's longest-lived communities, found that the most common trait across all regions wasn't a structured exercise program, but natural daily movement. Gardening, walking uphill, squatting, carrying water. These simple, consistent activities keep joints flexible, heart strong, and muscles engaged. Modern research confirms this approach. A 2019 study in the British Journal of Sports Medicine found that light-intensity physical activity, such as slow walking or household tasks, was significantly associated with lower all-cause mortality in older adults, especially when done consistently throughout the day. Similarly, NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, all the calories burned from minor movements like standing, stretching, and walking, can have a profound effect on metabolism and weight maintenance after 50. From a traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, perspective, regular movement is essential for qi, energy, flow, and blood circulation. Stagnation, often due to sedentary habits, is believed to contribute to pain, fatigue, and early aging. Gentle practices like Tai Chi or Qigong are recommended not just for fitness, but for maintaining internal harmony and joint mobility. Beyond physical benefits, daily movement improves mental clarity, mood stability, and sleep quality. Physical activity increases blood flow to the brain and stimulates the release of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a compound that promotes neuroplasticity and protects against age-related cognitive decline. So how can Americans adopt this movement as a lifestyle approach? Reframe movement, not as something you have to do, but something your body craves naturally. Walk daily. Aim for 6,000 to 8,000 steps per day, ideally in multiple small walks rather than one long session. Stand often. Use standing desks. Take phone calls while pacing and stretch every hour. Do household chores manually. Sweeping, gardening, cooking, all count. Practice light mobility. Include Tai Chi, gentle yoga, or Qigong 2 to 3 times per week. You don't need a gym membership or high-tech gear. What you need is consistency and the awareness that every minute you move is a vote for longevity. Habit number 4. Stay socially engaged and purpose-driven. One of the most overlooked yet scientifically validated habits of healthy aging is the role of social connection and personal purpose. In Japanese longevity culture, particularly among the Okinawan people, this idea is deeply embedded in daily life and has a name, ikigai, meaning reason for being. In contrast, many Americans over 60 experience growing isolation. According to the National Institute on Aging, nearly 1 in 3 seniors lives alone, and over 40% report feeling lonely on a regular basis. Chronic loneliness has been linked to increased inflammation, higher risk of cardiovascular disease, cognitive decline, depression, and even premature death. In fact, a 2020 meta-analysis in The Lancet confirmed that loneliness can be as harmful to health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. By contrast, elders in Okinawa remain embedded in multi-generational communities called moai, small social circles committed to mutual support. These social ties aren't occasional or optional. They're integral to survival and emotional health. Elders meet regularly for tea, gardening, or simply chatting. No one is ever left behind. Beyond social interaction, purpose also matters. Studies show that having a sense of meaning, whether it's caring for grandchildren, mentoring younger people, or volunteering, is associated with longer life, lower rates of Alzheimer's disease, and better physical function in old age. A long-term study from the University of Michigan followed over 6,000 older adults and found that those with a strong sense of purpose had a 15% lower risk of death over the next decade. Purpose doesn't have to be grand. It can be as simple as checking on a neighbor, maintaining a garden, or writing letters to a loved one. In traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, emotional health is deeply tied to physical longevity. Each organ system is associated with an emotion. The liver with anger, the heart with joy, the kidneys with fear. Chronic emotional imbalance, especially from unprocessed grief or prolonged loneliness, is believed to disrupt qi, vital energy, and weaken the body's resilience over time. In this context, connection and purpose are not luxury. They are medicine. So what can American seniors do to apply this habit? Reconnect with community. Join a local club, church group, or volunteer organization. Stay in touch. Schedule regular phone or video calls with family and friends. Start a purpose ritual. Write down one small thing each morning you'll do to help someone else. Create or join a MOI, a circle of 3 to 5 trusted peers who check in on each other weekly. Revisit old passions. Hobbies, crafts, or skills that once gave you joy can offer new purpose. Aging gracefully isn't just about nutrition and movement. It's also about meaning and connection. Staying socially engaged and purpose-driven may be one of the most powerful longevity tools you already have access to. Habit number 5. Prioritize sleep like it's medicine. In Japan, elders are often observed rising with the sun, tending their gardens quietly, and retiring early without screens or distractions. Sleep is treated as sacred, not a passive luxury, but a proactive form of healing. In the West, however, sleep is often the first thing sacrificed. According to the CDC, 1 in 3 American adults doesn't get enough sleep, and that number climbs in people over 60 due to hormonal changes, medications, and lifestyle factors. But here's what science and Japanese longevity traditions both agree on: sleep is medicine. Aging bodies need restorative sleep more than ever. That's because during deep sleep, your body doesn't just rest, it repairs. Collagen synthesis, muscle rebuilding, immune regulation, and memory consolidation all occur while you sleep. A study published in Neuron found that poor sleep accelerates brain aging, increasing the risk of Alzheimer's. Another study from a University of California, Berkeley, showed that adults in their 60s who get less than 6 hours of sleep per night experience significant memory decline and increased inflammation markers. Japanese longevity practices emphasize the idea of shinmin, or mental rest. That means not just clocking hours in bed, but creating a rhythmic sleep environment that supports full body restoration. No TV in the bedroom. No harsh lighting at night. No heavy meals late. Instead, quiet, structure, and calming rituals, green tea before dusk, gentle walks after dinner, and consistent bedtimes. In traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, sleep is seen as a cycle of yin and yang. The liver and heart store the spirit at night, and if they are overstimulated by stress, poor food, or emotional turmoil, insomnia or restless sleep results. Practitioners recommend warm foot soaks with herbs like mugwort, calming soups at dinner, and gentle qigong before bed to calm the shun spirit. So how can Americans apply this wisdom? 1. Honor circadian rhythms. Go to bed and wake up at the same time daily, even on weekends. This trains your internal clock and boosts melatonin naturally. 2. Optimize the sleep environment. Keep your bedroom cool, dark, and quiet. Consider blackout curtains, a fan for white noise, and no electronics at least 1 hour before bed. 3. Support sleep through diet. Foods rich in magnesium, spinach, pumpkin seeds, tryptophan, turkey, oats, and glycine, bone broth, enhance relaxation and sleep depth. 4. Create a wind-down ritual. Try journaling, stretching, or herbal tea 30 minutes before bed to tell your body it's time to power down. 5. Limit sleep disruptors. Avoid caffeine after 2 p.m., minimize alcohol, and reduce screen time. Blue light disrupts melatonin release. Aging well requires more than just movement and nutrition. it demands recovery. In Japan, elders understand that longevity is less about doing more and more about doing less, more deliberately. That includes protecting your sleep like it's the most powerful prescription you own, because it is.